Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and today I'd like to share with you on boundaries and why you find it really hard to set and uphold boundaries in your life. Boundaries are just limits we put in place to safeguard our well being. Boundaries outline how we deserve to be treated, what we cannot tolerate in life, and what we can tolerate. When we think of boundaries, we might think that these boundaries are actually limiting and it limits our freedom. But in the actual sense, when you have and set and uphold healthy boundaries, you'll have more freedom in life and more freedom to even express yourself. Let me share with you a simple analogy I pulled from the book called Essentialism, which talks about the fact that boundaries actually allows us to have more freedom in life. So, there's a story of a school located next to a busy road. At first, the kids used to play only in the small strip of the playground, so that where like the grown-ups could watch over them. But then someone constructed a fence around the playground. Now the kids were able to play anywhere and everywhere in the playground. It's more like once this boundary was set up around the school, the kids were able to play anywhere in the playground, and they had more freedom. That's just a great example of boundaries allows us to really experience the whole playing field of life without worrying that someone might hurt us or someone might take advantage of us. So it's so counterintuitive that boundaries are limits we put in place, but these limits actually give us freedom. People might also think that having boundaries is a sign of weakness and that you should be strong enough not to have these limits. But you see, like boundaries are so empowering and they even protect our life from being hijacked by someone else, either like consciously or unconsciously. But our life can be hijacked by someone else who wants to meet their needs. And in case of toxic relationships, like abusive people love stepping and constantly poking on things you stand for so that they can meet their needs. And the more you are the kind of person who can uphold your boundaries, the more you live a life where you don't have to worry about other people, because deeply you understand how you deserve to be treated and no one will take advantage of you. These boundaries will just demonstrate that you are in control of your life. And the thing is, it's not like the boundaries are fixed. You can actually adjust them, but you'll be adjusting them now depending on what you want, not what others want. When you know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, you will have a healthy relationship with yourself. Yeah, setting boundaries will of course involve a lot of saying no, even when it makes you comfortable or even when it makes other people uncomfortable. That's why it's never easy to set and uphold boundaries. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 factors why you find it really hard to set and uphold boundaries in your life. The first reason why you find it really hard to set and uphold boundaries is because you have low self-esteem. When you have low self-esteem, it will mean that you will lack the assertiveness and the ability to stand for yourself, especially when someone constantly pushes and steps on those boundaries. You will let other people walk over you as they wish because you don't have the capacity to raise that voice and even tell those people to stop, or that you don't want to be part of it. Low self-esteem will also mean that you are so deeply insecure to the point that you cannot even rely on yourself to protect your own needs or to even identify your own needs. This deep feeling of inadequacy will also make you feel that you are not even worthy of happiness and anyone can do as they wish in your life or in your space. So the more you have low self-esteem, you will feel that anyone can just walk over you as they wish because you don't have a voice, you can't voice your thoughts, and you even feel that you don't deserve to be treated in a way that you need to. The other reason why we find it really hard to set and uphold boundaries is social conditioning. See, we are all conditioned in one way or the other, and this mostly depends on the environment or the place you are brought up in. We accept norms set by society without even questioning why we do it in the first place. Our culture, for example, emphasizes on things like perseverance, respect, and self-sacrifice. So when you live life with this kind of norms deeply ingrained within yourself, it will mean that you will find it really hard to be a little bit selfish when it comes to setting and upholding your boundaries. You will find yourself bowing down to every old man or woman on the streets just because you can't dare face the wrath of the society. You see, like to stand up for yourself sometimes, like standing up for yourself, especially when you cannot tolerate something, it might mean even you disrespecting like your elders, your husband or wife, which of course will go contrary to the norms set by society. Disrespect here means not working on people. It just means that showing no concern with universally like accepted norms, like you really distancing yourself from these universally accepted norms because you deeply know what you stand for. And that's how this matrix has been designed. And if you are deeply entrenched or deeply in these metrics, you will not even have those boundaries in the first place, as you will want to be so available to everyone and be so nice in the eyes of the society, so that you can be seen as this nice person or as this good person. And while you are doing that, of course, you will have thrown your boundaries outside the window. The other factor that makes it really hard for you to set and uphold your boundaries is the fact that you were brought up in an environment where you've never been taught or you've never even known what healthy boundaries look like. It will mean that you will find it really hard to set those boundaries because you don't even know about them, or you've never even heard about them. You may also have been used to being taken advantage of by other people, and you even think that that's life. That's how life is supposed to be, like just people working over you. This mostly happens in childhood, as that's the learning stage of life, where we pick up behaviors from our caregivers, or we pick up behaviors depending on how our caregivers treat us. So if your boundaries were not respected as a child, there's a higher chance that you will let everyone to walk over you in your adult life. Also, the fact that you are not used to setting and having clear boundaries will also bring a certain feeling of safety and comfort when you don't have those boundaries. Like when you lack awareness and insight of who we are, we don't even know what boundaries mean in the first place. You will find it really hard to also set and uphold your boundaries if you are a people pleaser. You see, like a people pleaser is someone who will always want to sacrifice themselves so that they can make everyone happy, even if it means throwing their needs out of the window. So when you are a people pleaser, you will never set and uphold boundaries, because the more you have those limits, the more it will be hard for you to please other people. You will always compromise and lower your boundaries for the sake of other people's happiness. And of course, you will rarely say no when someone asks you something, and will accept what's being thrown at you. You say boundaries is about like prioritizing and understanding your needs, but people pleasing is more about giving and giving, even if it goes against your values and what you stand for. So they will never really walk in the same path. In fact, no is the shortest sentences that can help you uphold your boundaries. But when you worry about upsetting other people's feelings, then that word will not come out of your mouth, because you are a people pleaser. So people pleaser and setting boundaries, they can never walk in the same path. The last factor that makes it really hard for you to set and uphold your boundaries is fear of missing out. You see, we always have this kind of feeling that if I do this, I might miss out on this opportunity or this golden opportunity. And you see, something about boundaries. Boundaries is also about cutting off some people or cutting off some activities from your life. So you might have this perception that if I cut off this thing, I might miss out on a big opportunity. And that's why you will find it really hard to cut all the things you cannot tolerate in life because because of your fear of missing out. For example, like in the relationship spectrum, you may cling to this hope that your partner might change in the future or might return to that charming human being they once were in the relationship, or they might even build the future they've been promising you. And because of that, you might just want to stay in that relationship because you don't want to miss out on those beautiful things. So this will mean that you will avoid setting those boundaries, and you will even lower those boundaries, because setting those boundaries will probably mean that you will leave that relationship or you will upset your partner. And because of that fear of missing out, you will even feel that it's just better to ignore those boundaries or just lower them so that you cannot miss out on that golden opportunity. And what may also fuel this fear of missing out is when you imagine the future your partner will probably have with someone else and not you. Let's say if they manage to change and build the future they've been promising you. And so this would mean that it's better to just lower your boundaries and throw them outside the door so that you can wait for that future. Boundaries are a beautiful thing, and having them and upholding them means that you have deep respect for yourself and you have this autonomy over your life. Healthy boundaries also show that you have a healthy relationship with yourself. And the thing about boundaries is that it's not about understanding them, like just knowing them, just awareness of them. It's also about being the kind of person who can uphold those boundaries or who can live with those boundaries. This will of course mean you like upsetting some faces, and yeah, you might not even be everyone's favorite. That's why setting and upholding boundaries is all about doing the inner work to the point that you understand who you are, to the point that you understand yourself. And this will involve shedding those limiting beliefs that you've been collecting and you've been living with as a result of your environment and your upbringing. One thing to also note is that the more you understand yourself and your boundaries, the more you will open up yourself to deep connections and relationships in life, as you'll be expressing yourself authentically. So, if there is one thing you can take from this, is the best thing that can keep you away from toxic relationships is you being the kind of person who can deeply understand and who deeply values their boundaries. That's it for me today, guys. Hope this makes sense. Until next time, see ya.